Welcome to the Coast to Coast Pick 5 preview show for Saturday, March 23rd. Gino, it's March Madness, and I don't mean basketball. It's March Madness for a little horse racing Pick 5 action. A lot going on, and we're just heading into more and more exciting action with the Derby coming up, all the preps, a lot going on in the world of racing and the world of sports.
Yeah, every single Saturday and Sunday, we're playing these coast-to-coast pick fives. First Racing has put them together. One of the best bets in all of racing, honestly, because you get that 15% low takeout. It's the $1 base minimum. We're going back and forth from Gulfstream and Santa Anita. Both of these tracks, they don't have their big weekends this weekend, but they'll be coming up the next 2 weekends. So the next 2 weekends, we'll probably be previewing some really big stakes races in these pick 5 sequences because it'll be Florida Derby Day next weekend, Santa Anita Derby Day in 2 weeks. This weekend, Fairgrounds and Turfway, they have their big day, so they're going to have the spotlight for a little bit. And, man, if you're a basketball fan, you'll be playing along in our Pick'em contest, right, Chappie? Those things are free to enter, $500 to the winner, tons of March Madness props on Saturday and on Sunday. We got a lot of action, as always, this weekend.
No doubt about it. And Skipper, once again, a lot going on, a lot of action, a lot of money to be made out there.
Yes, we haven't had very much luck with these coast-to-coast pick 5s given out yet, but I know a big one's coming our way, and hopefully it will be this weekend. It's Gino's birthday on Sunday, so happy early birthday to you. And let's get lucky, man. We're due for one of these big ones, and I know we put a lot of work into it, so let's just make it happen and get some luck on our side. Let's do it.
A little birthday luck to get us started here, Gino. And once again, we've had these payouts, as we always say, terrific each and every week. All it takes is one. We were just talking pre-show, a couple noses here and there, and you're talking about a $50,000, $60,000 score, Gino. And maybe this birthday weekend is your time to shine.
Yeah, the thing that's frustrating is when you're seeing the ball well and you're missing, right? Because there's so many ways to lose in gambling where you have those stretches where you're like, I'm not even close right now, right? But when you feel like, gosh, I have all these races pretty spot on, and the races I'm losing, I'm just running second, that's when you feel like you're leaving a lot on the table, So hopefully we can cash it in this week, and we'll start at Santa Anita. And what I've noticed, too, they're spread out a little bit more because I think they're trying to pick out the really good races from Santa Anita to put in the sequence, and I like that. It gives you some of the more challenging and more competitive races for the sequence.
Well, start us off then, Gino. We start off at race 3 at Santa Anita. We're going 6 furlongs on the turf, $25,000 non-winners of 2 lifetime. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, the real wild card in this race to me is the 5, What a Dude. Source has almost a year layoff to deal with, but you look at his turf form overall against Better, it was very good, but it was also going longer. So you have some mixed feelings with this one, but with the blinkers off, a first-time gelding for a new barn, kind of feel like it's a starting over point for them. So I do want to use him because I think on class he fits, and he may have one of the better races in him. The horse who could get a great trip in here is the 6, I'm a Lucky Man. You just look at his turf form. He has those couple of good turf races. I feel like the last going 6.5 was probably just a little bit too far. And if that was the case, the last few races and his form really makes sense. Now you get the little bit of a drop in class and the cutback. I mean, if he runs like he did on January 28th at this trip, at this level, he's going to be right on the wire like he was that day. So my top tier is 5 and 6. I'd love to try to get out of this race with just those 2, and I'll probably try to do that.
Yeah, Skip, I'm 6'5". I'm kind of going back and forth between on Eastbound because of the drop. That horse always had a lot of potential and never really came to fruition. That now we're dropping down to a level, and I know this is a deep closer in routes, shortening up, but I'm just trying to wonder if this is one of those fields where, if you go back and just look who this horse has ran against. I mean, we've talked about this horse many a time. I'm debating whether to just get by with 6'5" as well, like Gino. Anything else you see in here, Skipper?
I'm going to single in here. I think it's 5'6", and I like What a Dude. We can't watch those works at San Luis Rey Down, But those I haven't seen works in 47-2, 47-1. Those are fast works at San Luis Rey Down. I mean, usually they don't work that fast. Then you got 59-1, then you got 48-4 out of the gate. I did watch the work on the 18th on XBTV. I liked it. It didn't switch leads. They had to kind of chirp it a little bit to switch leads. But once it did, it was a good work to me. I think that horse is the best horse in the race. What a dude. I love that they gelded. I love the blinkers off. And, we love Georgie Papadromo, but Doug O'Neill Barn is hot. We love Dougie Fresh. And I'm going to take a shot. I think the 5 is the best horse in the race. I'm worried about the distance a little bit, but with those works working as fast as he is, and I think this horse could be close. Even the race at Santa Anita back in February last year, it's only 2 lengths off at 22-4. So this horse, I think, will get a great trip. And I think this horse will, hopefully will win, because I'm going to take a shot and single it at 4-1.
I almost considered singling the 6, by the way, but I'm gonna use a couple of them just because I think What a Dude is kind of the wild card in here. But interesting thoughts there. All right, we move on to the second leg, Skipper. We're going over to Gulfstream Park, race 9, 7.5 furlongs on the turf. What are your thoughts here?
I'm going to go 4 deep in here. The 5 is a must use. I don't like the 9-5, but that last race was really good. They went slow early, and that Delahaye, that's a Chad Brown horse that they paid a lot of money for. It's won 2 in a row, and that looks to be a nice horse. This horse had a perfect trip right behind it, and boy, they kicked away. They were, 4.5, 5 lengths clear of the 3rd place finisher. But I don't like the price, and I'm going to try to use the 1 Grace Darling. This horse coming off the break had it went wide in the first turn. It made a wide move on the far turn and the stretch, finished with a nice, good, stride, and it galloped out real good. I like that. I think with the race out, which the Brian Lynch wins 18% second time out, it did break its maiden over the Gulfstream Park course. So I'm going to use the 1. The 3 5 towns I gave out on the radio show last time it ran, February 24th. This horse broke slow, got in a tough spot, going 3 wide in the first turn, was bottled up, turning for home. It finally got clear and finished okay. And I put on my notes, it should move up second out off the break. It did beat 11 horses when it broke its maiden back in Great Britain. And then Johanny the 4 is a must use on me. For me, I think since they put this horse on the turf, it's got a turfy stride. It ran 3rd at Gulfstream Park 2 back with trouble. Then it came back and broke its maiden. I liked the way that it worked on the 4th and the 14th before it ran. And this horse shows some heart in those works, and it ran like it its last race. So I'm going to go 1, 3, 4, 5 here, hoping to beat the 5 at 9-5.
1, 3, 4, 5 for Skip. Gino, any additions or subtractions?
Yeah, we're very similar. I'm 1, 4, 5, 6. I want to mention Apropos. There was a horse named Apropos one time, and I just butchered. It was one of my early times on TVG, and I was, you're caught on air, and I hadn't looked at the name of the horse, and I just butchered, because when you're looking at the name and you don't know right away, I was calling it A Prop Ops or something and I'll never forget that. It's one of those things that'll always stick with me. I just was just must have been red-faced on the air. I was so embarrassed. But
Skip loves those names on Saturday morning sometimes.
It's and then I know I'm getting them from the emails and the Twitter and Facebook. I just can remember it. Yeah. And I think I feel like I was on with Miramati even. And Miramati was probably he's really good with the names and stuff too. But anyways, the 6 Apropos comes out of a barn. Skippy, you and I like one of these, this barn's horses named Headline News, who came in with some underrated races and then came over to Gulfstream Park, and when had to compete with tougher horses, was able to step up and run bigger figures. I think Apropos' speed figures are a little bit light, but now we'll go second start off the bench, tries the turf again. This horse got caught in between horses at Tampa last time out, was down inside and was trapped behind a wall of horses, was waiting to go, and they all lined up and the horse tried to go out wide and then had to kind of maneuver around horses. It was a little bit better than it would look on paper. The top couple horses separated that day. I think this one is an intriguing price horse in a difficult race. I think I'm going to go 1, 4, 5, 6 in here.
All right, so 1, 4, 5, 6 for Gino. So you guys are similar. The 3 and the 5. Excuse me. Yeah, Skip's using the 3. Gino the 6 there. So we're pretty similar. All right, let's move on to the third leg, which is race 5 at Santa Anita. We're going 6.5 furlongs. We all love that downhill turf course. I'll let you guys talk about some other horses. A horse that's very interesting to me in here, there's not a lot of speed in here. I think Gypsy Tears is going to sit a really good trip in here. I've always been a Leia's Candy fan, but I might single Gypsy Tears on one of my tickets. I think this horse could get a lonely lead or just sit off, drawn outside as we love. I think this horse is set for a big race for the underrated Val Brinkerhoff. Gino, you had your thumbs up, so I'll go back to you here. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I always look at these races really early right away when the entries come out, usually Wednesday evening. And Thornhouse was in the race. The 5 was a major player, and the 5 is scratched out. And that horse would have been the major speed in the race. So when that horse is out, I totally upgraded Gypsy Tears. There's a horse who I've followed for a while. And in a couple spots where I thought he'd be on the lead, they were sitting a little bit more with him. But in this race with the outside draw, I really love for them to get aggressive because, Chappie, the 2 horses you mentioned are probably what I'll try to get out of here with. I think I might try to go 2 and 8 with Leia's Candy and Gypsy Tears with those 2. After them, I had 1 and 4 as sort of others that I was looking at, but Queen's Code really has a long layoff to deal with, and the rail going down the hill is not always the easiest of trips. Plus, the barn usually needs a race or so just to get him going. So, yeah, I think I talked myself into 2 and 8 here, who gets to go outside now instead of being down inside where he's been the last, 4 times. So hopefully that could help him sit a little bit more or just get aggressive from out there.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Skipper, any other horses to add?
Yeah, I'm going to use the 7. I'm going to use it 2, 7, 8. McGregor Lake, it won last year at Santa Anita. It was on the flat surface, but it won nicely. It came from way out of it that day on June 10th. And it came flying. It wasn't bad. This horse paid $128 that day. I'll never forget that. And I was mad at myself because I'm a big UFC fan and Conor McGregor, and I didn't use it, and I considered using it just because of McGregor. But I did like the work on the 16th. I thought that was a really good work. And, Mick Ruiz Sr., he's having a good meet. He's only had 6 starters for the meet. He's got 2 wins, and he's got a third. So I'm going to go 1, 7, 8, just in case, like you guys said, there's not a lot of speed in here, but maybe the 1 Queen's Code, being real fresh, might go. Leia's Candy has shown some speed, but could sit off. If the jockeys kind of go and try to get position, McGregor Lake's going to sit back and maybe could swoop and get them all.
So, by the way, on a side note, since you're talking about Conor McGregor, I was so bored last night. I actually watched the new Roadhouse movie.
I was just going to ask. Yeah, there you go.
Starring Conor McGregor. What?
How was it?
Well, it was.
That's not good.
It's okay. I mean, it would be horrible if you didn't know the other movie, so you kind of, it's got a little bit of the same story.
Nostalgia.
And, Jake Gyllenhaal is pretty good. There's some bad acting in it, man. It's not the original, but I don't know. Well, I'll give it like two stars out of 5, maybe
2.5 chaps up.
If you're really bored,
buddy.
If you're really bored, you might want to check it out.
But you know what? The original, I love the original. Patrick Swayze, he was one of my favorite actors. That guy was great in everything. So I want to see it, but I'm not looking forward to see it after Chappie's 2 stars comment.
Roadhouse is one of those movies, the old one, when it comes on, if you're flipping the channels, you probably watch a little bit of it, right? Even though it's one of those cult type of this isn't going to be that.
Yep.
I'll tell you that much.
I've seen the original Roadhouse, honestly, probably 100 times and maybe
Oh, yeah.
more. If I like a movie, I'll rewatch it.
Well, I would say 99 times less if you get through the first one this time. All right. I digress. Let's go back to horse racing. We move on to race 11 at Gulfstream Park, a mile on the turf. Gino.
We were joking a little bit at the beginning about some of the horses that we've needed in the coast to coast pick 5. One of the days, the only horse I missed was perhaps tonight in the sequence. If you watch that race, there is no way this horse loses. I mean, all the way around looks like a winner. You're sitting on a favorite with Irad Ortiz getting a perfect trip that gets like a 2 or 3 length lead on the field and just gets nailed right on the wire. And then as a gambler, you don't know what to do with the horse like this, right? The next time back. But I think that she's in a little tougher today than where she was last time, where it felt like that was kind of her spot. The horses to me that I think make a lot of sense. I want to throw the 6 in for Chad Brown. She doesn't face really any monsters in here. It could be a nice spot for her. The 9 Ocean Club. She ran a bang-up race last time out on February the 24th. She, I believe, that was in one of the sequences we were looking at too. I think she's going to go second, start off a 5-month break. She was sitting inside third, just behind the leaders, and then she just had absolutely nowhere to go. She was traveling well. She was completely buried behind horses. She never got a chance to run. She's in the mix for me. The horse that's maybe less obvious would be Swoop to Finish. This horse came flying last time out from way, way out of it. Moved up the inside nicely, got a good opening, well-timed ride. I know you have to do a little bit of kind of you have to be a little forgiving in spots, but if you eliminate the synthetic races, eliminate the wet track race, and then you're just looking at the turf races, 1 or 2 of them were before layoffs. Like, you can really get down to the races she ran well, and her whole form makes sense for this 5-year-old mare. So I'm gonna go 2, 6, and 9 in here.
2, 6, and 9 for Gino. Skipper, your thoughts here?
I'm going to use 2, 6, 9 also, but I'm going to go 5 horses. I'm also going to use the 4 American Retro. This horse ran really good off the layoff last time, and that was a good time, 133 and 4. It got a great trip, but I really like the way it won. It's the first time off the break, or now it comes back. It came back to work twice, and I think American Retro at 15-1. That horse has got to be on the ticket. I'm using Diamond Vega, like Gino said too, with Chad Brown. This horse has been working good. I like the works on the 2nd and the 9th. First time Lasix. I'm also going to use Ocean Club like Gino. That horse had like he said, he had a little trouble in that last trip off the, first time off the break, and that's a must use. I'm also going to put the 10. I won't even, Canasy. Is that Gino? Is that how we say it? Canasy. Yeah. This horse has got some back class. I mean, look at it. Ran against Gio Romantica. That horse is a grade 1 winner, I believe, for Chad Brown. McCulloch, another one for Chad Brown. Consumer Spending. This horse has kept some good company. Skims. So I'm going to go, all that being said, and Christophe Clement, he's great off the bench, 21%. This horse worked on the 15th, the 22nd, the 29th, the 7th. I like the workout pattern. So I'm going 2, 4, 6, 9, 10 in here.
2, 4, 6, 9, 10. Gentlemen, the one thing interesting about tomorrow at these 2 tracks are the big boys are out of town. Yeah. So it's a little bit different jockey-wise. You got the Pratts, the Dettoris, the Ortizes. They're all elsewhere. So
it'll be that way next week too, most likely, because you'll have Dubai, Gulfstream, and Arkansas, where and Oaklawn between. So there'll be people all over the place.
Yeah, obviously it gives some of these other guys a chance to ride some more and some bigger races. But I mean, Gino, does that sway your handicapping at all? And with some of these horses, I mean,
it depends on the style, like what type of trip. I think for certain jockeys, right? Certain jockeys that you think have more of their style fits a certain horse better. So that may be something you want to take into account, or just what you pointed out. Just make sure to remind yourself so you're not wondering like, oh, why did that jockey take off this horse? Remember, they're gone. right? Sometimes we forget little simple things like that. And like you create an angle for yourself that's not even an angle. So just remember, if you're seeing mounts that look off, take another second, look and see, oh yeah, he's riding tomorrow at Fairgrounds, you know?
No doubt. Yep. So like you said, there's going to be a lot of musical chairs the next couple of weeks, Skip. And, that can make a difference. But you see, like Gino said, the most important thing is remember, they're not taking off. They're gone.
Right.
Big difference.
Out of town. Yeah.
All right. So we move to the last leg, and this is race 8 at Santa Anita. I'm just going to mention 2 horses that I'm going to use and I've been chasing forever. And that would be
Hawker. You followed, right? Were you following the Yellow Brick Road?
Yellow Brick Road, I've followed and bet many, many, many times. And Hawker. Those 2 horses, I think I've bet of the 10 and 18 races, I've probably bet them 18 times. So maybe the 19th is the charm. Now maybe, Gino, for Yellow Brick, the light bulb went on the last time. It was off of a layoff, chased a fast pace, looked good winning. They always had a lot of high hopes for that horse, and we have too. And
he really
Hawker
never ran he ran poorly one time in the race that was sandwiched by layoffs. Honestly, all of his other races were good, and this happens sometimes where he just kind of figured it out.
And he's faced some good ones along the way too. I mean,
Yep. And he's second start back now off that bench, second start as a 4-year-old. Of all the horses in here, he just looks like he's the best with the most upside, right? With the possibility of being the best horse. So I'm going to try to get out of this race not using many. I'm going to use him, I think, in one other. The one other is Clouseau, mainly because, actually kind of like what we're talking about, Maldonado's coming back on now, and the blinkers are coming back on. Look at the 2 races when Maldonado was aboard, 3 and 4 starts back. He had this horse right on the lead and sitting very close to the lead. And I think with Clouseau, you have to kind of keep him in the race. I think he's one of those horses that has to be hard ridden and placed nicely. Otherwise, he's not going to be coming from way, way out of it. So I expect him to perk up a little bit. He exits the Judge Miller race, where Judge Miller earned a 105 buyer that day and just crushed everybody. Hawker was second. He was 11 lengths behind. And 2 starts back, he was behind Flying Drummer, who came back to win with a 96 buyer speed figure. So I do think it's Yellow Brick's race to lose. I wanted to get another horse in here who I think will at least be part of the pace and maybe in front of Yellow Brick, if that's a way that perhaps he were to get beat. Sometimes Kimura isn't the most aggressive rider. He's a little more patient and a little bit more of like a well-timed finisher. So I'll try to get out of here, I think, with 2 and 5, Chappie.
Yeah, I have to use the 1. I think the 1 actually might be my top pick. Back to the dirt, ran second, albeit got beat by 11 by that freak Judge Miller last time out. But added blinkers last time. I think if Barrio can sit a trip from the rail, I'm afraid he sends. But if he can sit just off, there is some pace in here for sure. I've always thought that horse had a lot of talent, and maybe the dirt is the key to Hawker. And at 5 to 1, I've got to use that horse in there. Skip, what are your thoughts here? And we haven't mentioned Cowboy Mike. Just what are your thoughts on that horse?
I'm not using Cowboy Mike. I know that last race was real impressive, won by 6 lengths. The horse that got third came back to win. I'm not sold on that horse. Came back to work good. JJ Hernandez is aboard. It's probably stupid. I probably should throw it in, but I'm not. I'm going to use the 4. I think the 4 at 12 to 1 is a sneaky horse. It broke from the rail last time. It was a private purchase, by Doug O'Neill, Mike Bello, and Bartlett. This horse broke from the rail last time in the Palos Verdes. It ran, sneaky good. I put prep. Fraisu only hit this horse once in the stretch. He hit it once left-handed. It galloped out good. It's a question mark going 2 turns. It's never done it before, but it's bred to get the 2 turns. So the 4 at 12 to 1 is a must use for me. Yellow Brick, for all the reasons that both of you have said. I got to use Don't Swear Dave. This horse is a 4-time winner. It's a racehorse. I mean, this horse wants to win. It races on dirt. It races on turf. It runs short. Long. So Don't Swear Dave at 8-1's got to be on the ticket too. And then I'm going to use Bad Sneakers. It's breaking from the outside, but it broke its maiden last time. And a couple of those maiden races were against pretty good horses. Mixto, that is a Doug O'Neill horse that ran good. It ran the Sandy to handicap. I think we both, all three of us liked it that day. So all that being said, I'm going 4, 5, 7, 9 in here. I'm leaving out Hawker. I'm leaving out Cowboy Mike. And Yellow Brick's the right horse. I think, this horse has always had high expectations. You guys have both talked about it. But in case that horse doesn't win, I'm going to use a few others.
Yeah, Cowboy Mike is a play against for me too, Gino. That's not on my ticket as well. I didn't beat much the last time out. He wins, and the horse is going to get over bet. By the way, I think as well.
I think the next horses for me would be 1 and 9.
Right.
If I was going to use extra, like another tier of horses, like Hawker may make his way onto my ticket because you start diving into his dirt form overall. His debut on the dirt sprinting was good. Then as his second start, he was favored in that monster race where he was behind National Treasure and Practical Move. And then he was off for a few months following that. And then he was on the turf for a while. And when he came back to the dirt, it's tough to really get a gauge because that was a race where one horse just freaked, earned one of the highest buyer speed figures of the year so far in Judge Miller. So it's tough to be too hard on Hawker. And I've kind of warmed up a little bit more to him as we've been talking. So the outside horse, I'm glad Skip mentioned too. If he gets away, he could be a little bit interesting if they send him hard from the outside.
It's quite a challenging sequence. Once again, gentlemen, Skipper, any last thoughts from you?
Just good luck to everybody. Hopefully we could have a good, lucky weekend and a great weekend of racing. And we're going to be celebrating Gino's birthday all weekend. So happy birthday, Gino, again.
Thank you.
Gino, any thoughts? I know, like you said, Gino, there's a lot going on this weekend. Lot to play, lot to do, lot going on. Let us know a little bit about where they can participate and what they can do this weekend.
Always a good place to go is expressbet.com, and then you look at the tournament section. I know a lot of people were focused on the NHC last week. You can already get qualified for the 2025 NHC this week with the $500 Santa Anita Challenge, and then next week it's the Florida Derby Challenge, which is a huge contest. So we're going to try to qualify for that game. It's $1,500 to enter. There's big money up for grabs, NHC seats, future seats. But if you don't want to try to qualify for that, if you don't want to try to enter for that much, you can try to enter for $40 all the week leading up to it, or even $300 the day before. So that's going to be my goal for the next week or so, trying to get a $40 feeder to get me into the Florida Derby Challenge next week. And we mentioned those March Madness fans are going to be kicking back, playing the pick'ems as you have fun all weekend long. So good luck to everybody. Skippy, Chappie, let's cash this thing this weekend.
All right, let's cash it out, and let's get a big one home for Gino's birthday. Gino, as we said, Skip said, early happy birthday. Everybody, good luck. We'll see you again next week.